Today I'm at Bryn Eirin Nature Reserve in Llandrillo yn Rhos, or Rhos-on-Sea in North Wales. And behind me you can see the distinct remains of Llys Eirin. Bryn Eirin is a prominent limestone hill overlooking Rhos-on-Sea. It's a rich mixture of grassland and woodland, part of it being a site of special scientific interest. It also has great historical interest with Llys Eirin, a house dating from the 15th century and a hilltop fort from the 6th century. I'm very excited to be meeting Ashley Batten. Hi Ashley.
Hi Ron.
Pleased to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Thank you for meeting me here at Bryn Eirin Nature Reserve. So you work for Cadw, and Cadw look after ancient monuments across the whole of Wales.
That's right. So I'm the Regional Inspector of Ancient Monuments and Archaeology for Cadw. There's 130 monuments in Wales that are directly managed by Cadw.
Right.
That's things like Castell Conwy and Caernarfon and places like that. And then there's over 4,500 monuments that are on private land, but we protect those sites through scheduled monument consent. And this is one of those sites. So this site's owned and managed by Conwy Council.
Okay.
But it's a scheduled monument in our care through that process.
Can you tell us a little bit about the history of this actual site?
This site doesn't become recognised really historically until the 13th century, when it's associated with the court of Prince Llywelyn ap Iorwerth.
What obstacles that you come across in terms of looking after places like this?
Well, obviously, by their nature, they're all relict sites, scheduled monuments, so they tend to be on the margins of land, and they have different problems associated with them as a result. Vegetation management being one of the key ones.
I can see, looking around here, how many plants there are.
Yeah.
And are all of these plants causing a problem on this building?
Well, some of them are about the character of the site. Bit of ivy here and there. It helps give you a feel of what this site should be like as a ruinous structure.
Okay.
But some of them are more invasive and are really digging into the masonry and causing us problems.
So can we see an example of that thing here?
Show you. Well, you can see in here, the top of this wall, this is reflective of what we've got on the higher level stuff too. Conwy and Cadw together have got masons in here, and they've pointed up between the stonework to stop things from penetrating into the wall head. But if we come down this end, you can see where it started to break up. We've got chunks of flaunching missing. The pointing started to fail, and it's partly because of the roots of these bits of vegetation that are getting in between the masonry blocks. And as soon as it cracks the masonry blocks apart, then the wall starts to crack apart. And especially if you've got high-level masonry, that's really problematic. It starts to shed stone.
Right. Okay, yeah, so you can see how that could cause a huge problem, and then the water can get in then and wash out the rest of the mortar, I presume.
Well, there's a freeze-thaw action that goes on. So once the water gets in between the masonry, if it's the winter time, that freezes, expands, and literally pushes the masonry blocks apart. When water gets in there, it's really deeply problematic, particularly in the winter. Okay. But it wouldn't get in there in the first place if it wasn't for the root action of the valerian that's digging into the wall.
So the plants are kind of getting through that first line of defence, really.
That's it.
And then everything else is causing a problem after that.
That's it.
So you mentioned this particular plant, red valerian. There's lots of it here.
It's one of the most problematic plants for getting its roots right between the masonry joints, and this has become a real problem on this site. As you can see, it's on every bit of low-level masonry, and from an archaeological point of view, when it grows thick like this, it starts to obscure the monument, and you can't really understand it, appreciate it. So that's one problem, but then there's also this structural physical problem with it breaking the monument and causing conservation issues.
I recognise this plant. I've seen it growing on the top of a garden wall. So it's quite a common plant.
Yep, very common in gardens and creates similar problems to garden walls. And yeah, the implications are similar in that you've got to remove the root joint and then make good the masonry around it to shed the water away from
the So that head. Sounds like a lot of work. It also sounds quite expensive and problematic. So the answer lies in not letting it establish in the first place. So with that in mind, could we take a closer look at the plant itself, and so people can have an idea of what to look out for if they see this plant? There's quite a lot of different colours. So we've got this kind of deep pink here, and then a pale pink. And then I noticed behind you there's a white version.
Yeah, it's all the same plant. These have gone to seed.
Is this the seed here?
That's it.
So you can see how easily that could become airborne. I suppose it could be carried by the wind quite some distance. So yeah, when people are looking out for these plants, they look out for the different colours, and the leaves, they're quite like a pale green, aren't they? And the leaves are kind of opposite each other up through the whole stem. And presumably, if we cut this plant back before it got to this stage of producing seed, then that would minimise the problem significantly, wouldn't it?
Ideally, you want it deadheaded before it reaches that point, because it's too late now.
So deadheading is one option. Getting rid of the plant completely is another option, and I suppose a better option. But yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, to see the amount of impact that they can have. And in this area here, it is, like you say, it's masking the actual structure of the building, isn't it?
Yeah, it actually becomes difficult to interpret what's going on the site when it gets to this stage, really. It's obscuring so much of the masonry.
Yeah. Oh, it's fascinating. Invasive species escaping our gardens not only impact nature, they also impact on our economy and the way we live. Removing plants such as red valerian from historic monuments to keep them safe and accessible to the public can be costly. It often takes specialist resources and can take years to be successful. As gardeners, we can prevent plants from escaping our gardens in the first place and reduce the negative impact that they can have in the countryside. Consider planting different species of plants that are not invasive. Let's be plant-wise, and together we can make a difference to places like this and the countryside in general.